Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear learners. I'm your English teacher Zia. I hope that you're doing well. My dear learners, I welcome you to English grade 6, and for English grade 6, we are on Unit 5, and let's see a student's learning outcome from Unit 5, and let's see how we can achieve it by the end of our lesson. Now, the competency we are dealing with is reading and critical thinking. So this is about reading, and this is our lecture number 3B. Now, the student's learning outcome, there are two SLOs merged into one. Let's read it. First, it says, explain how readers make choices about the text they like reading. For example, by author or by genre. And then we will explore the student's learning outcome, which says categorize the literary works as fiction, non-fiction, poetry, or drama. Now, first we will see that when readers are deciding to read something, how do they choose which book they are going to read? And we know that books are written by the authors, and they have different categories, different classifications. We call them genres. Then we can divide them into fiction, non-fiction, and we will also talk about poetry and drama. Now, these are the things that we need to explore in our lesson, so I want your full attention. You are already familiar with some of these things. You must have read any book out of your course, any short story, drama, any play, or any kind of magazine. So let's talk about it. First, you can see a vertical linkage over here. This SLO, these two link them with the previous grade, just to give you an idea that this is a continuity. Now, my dear learners, you need to brainstorm about this question that is in front of you. I need you to think about it. You can pause the video, give yourself some time, and come up with your answers. The question is that what kind of writing do you enjoy reading, and why do you think the author wrote it? So when you are actually reading books, we know that there are different kinds of books. So which one do you prefer reading? Are they poems, stories? Are they just text with a lot of information, or there are so many other subgenres as well? Now, and why do you think the writer, the author of the book, write it? There are several reasons for that. There are several purposes. Yes? So think about the book that you really like to read or that you have recently read, and talk about these two things with your fellows. Good. Let's talk about how the books are written by authors and how they are into different categories. Now let's go through these 6 points. First, we have 3 on the slide. Number 1 is to inform, which means that the author, the writer, write the book to share their knowledge and educate the readers on a particular topic. Now this is all about giving you readers information about any topic. Then we have the purpose of entertainment, which means you are enjoying it and you are being entertained. The authors create stories or poems and other forms of creative writing to amuse and engage the readers. Now the purpose is to entertain you. And then we have books or texts that are written to influence the reader's opinions or beliefs. Now, what does this mean? It means that the writer or the author wants you to be convinced of any particular topic. They want you to agree with their point of view. So these are the first 3 purposes: to entertain you as a reader, to make you laugh with humor, with jokes and interesting fun stories. Then They write to share information with you on any topic, let's say climate change, global warming, or just about your education, about your studies, and different kind of problems that we see in society. Then you actually are persuaded by the author into believing something. Persuade means to convince you, to make you believe it. Next, we have another two purposes that the writers use to write that book. This is to express themselves, which means they use writing as a way to explore their own thoughts and feelings. Sometimes the authors write to actually express themselves, to make them feel better, and they write for pleasure. Then at the last, they leave a record, which means they document the history, historical events and accounts, so that you can read them and study what happened in the past, and you will be studying the history. Now, what are you interested in, my dear learners? Are you interested in books that entertain you, books that give you information, or books that actually persuade you of any point of view? Or do you just read to learn about history, or do you just read to see that how the authors are expressing themselves? So this depends upon you, my dear learners, my dear readers, that which kind of book that you choose to read. Now let's talk about genres. Yes, they are literary genres. Why? Because they are related to literature, and literature is, we know that it is anything that is written on the paper. Anything, any book is a literature. It can be classified into two types. They can be fiction and non-fiction. So let's talk about a genre. I think you have heard this word before. If not, then let's read about it, let's study about it. This is how you pronounce it: genre or genre. Now, a genre is a particular type of literature. The two main genres are fiction, non-fiction. You can also call them classification of literature or categorization of literature. Now, there are many subgenres, which means that fiction also has some more categories, more genres, and non-fiction also have some more genres and subgenres, categories. Now, fiction is, we know that this is all about imagination. It is not related to reality. It is based on imagination. It can be a story. The characters are not found in real life. The setting, the whole story is fictional, which means it is based on imagination. It is not existing in reality. And non-fiction books, my dear learners, are the books that are based on facts and reality. They belong to this world that we are living in. Now, let's see what do we have in fiction and non-fiction. We have fiction that refers to literature. They have stories or narratives that are created from the imagination rather than based on real events or facts. Now, the purpose of fiction is often to entertain. Now, if you are somebody who likes to be entertained, you can read fictional books. It evokes emotions, explore ideas, or it offers insights into human experiences. So you can learn about the society, you can learn about human experiences, human conditions by reading fictional books, by reading stories and such narratives. And in your non-fiction, that represents factual information. It is based on facts. Facts are something that are based on reality and they are actually observable, or accounts about real people, events, ideas, or concepts. Now, they can be about a person, they can be a biography, autobiography, it can be an event of history that happened in the past, and also any idea or concept. Now, my dear learners, why do we read non-fiction? Mostly we read it to gain information. We read to explain or provide knowledge about various subjects, often presenting details, analysis, or explanations based on research, experience, or expert knowledge. Now you can see that fiction and non-fiction are very different kind of genres. Here, let's talk about poetry. We know that poems are actually a type of text that ends in rhyme. It has rhythm, it has a different kind of language. So it has creative expression using language and imagery, often with specific structure and rhythms. These are two poetry books, poetry collections. So you can grab a poetry collection if you like to read a lot of poems. Let's talk about drama. Now, dramas are actually the stories, but they are told you with performance, with acting. They are works, they are stories written to be performed with dialogue and stage directions. Now, every character, every person that is included in the story has different dialogues, different things to say. They are called their dialogues, and also there are some stage directions. You can see these two dramas, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and Arthur Conan Doyle's The Valley of Fears. Now, here is your simulation video that you can watch later on to learn more about different kind of subgenres of fiction and non-fiction. For your classroom activity, you have to answer this, that how would you categorize books into fiction and non-fiction? You'll categorize them according to the lesson that we are learning today. So be ready to solve this question. And then here is your worksheet where there are text given to you and you have to identify their category or genre. For your homework, you have to read any text of your choice. It could be a fiction, it could be a story, a play, or it could be a non-fiction, any biography, any autobiography, or any news article. You have to read it and then talk about the genre and purpose. Categorize the genre, make a table on the notebook, categorize it, and then explain that why did you categorize the books like that. These are your resources, my dear learners. You can access them from the description of the video that you're watching right now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that we have covered our students' learning outcomes. We saw that how readers make choice about what they will be reading. They can make it by author that they like, or author with different purposes, and they can also make their choice according to the category. And we also saw that how these books are categorized into different categories or genres. See you in the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.